Hey everybody, today I'm going to show you guys how to train your very own ChatGPT-like model for around $100. This video is unofficially sponsored by NVIDIA because they're the ones who have provided the credits for me to show you how to train your very own model. The way that I got access to the sponsorship is pretty funny, so stick around to the end of the video so I can tell you that story. Anyways, let's get into it. What is nanochat and who is Andrej Karpathy? If you don't know who Andrej Karpathy is, he is essentially one of the founders of OpenAI and creates free online resources and free online education for learning how to train your own AI models, learning how LLMs work. If you haven't checked out his YouTube channel, it is honestly awesome. And I've sat there and watched hours and hours of his content. Really easily digestible stuff and really helpful if you're trying to wrap your head around how OpenAI's models and how just ChatGPT works in general. So if you don't know what nanochat is, it's essentially his magnum opus in terms of teaching people how an AI model works, because it's the best ChatGPT that $100 can buy. Usually, a model like ChatGPT 5 or ChatGPT 4.0 costs in the billions of dollars to run and train. So the reason that is because in order to actually create a LLM model, it's going to take a lot of hardware and a lot of time to tokenize and make the information within that model processable and readable. So as Andrej kind of explains, there are 3 steps to actually training a model. Now, I apologize if this is kind of an oversimplification on how to train your AI models, but this is kind of the loose framework that I'm going to use to try explaining how to personally train your own AI model. So data collection, we got that covered for nanochat because we are using the FineWeb dataset. Essentially what FineWeb is just a collection of articles and educational material on the internet that's all stored into strings, and we're going to do pre-training on it by using a tokenizer that Andrej himself made, or I think this is just like Rust tokenizer, and tick tokenizer in order to actually get the model to work and get the model tokenized and functioning. And then what we're going to do is actually train the model using these 8x100s, and that's where NVIDIA's Brev comes into play. We're going to be using NVIDIA Brev in order to actually rent out these GPUs in order for us to train. And in terms of supervised fine-tuning, I'm pretty sure Karpathy has his own way of fine-tuning somewhere in here in order to make it so that it responds with like a helpful advisor tone. If you actually want to see how your model's performing as well, you can run these tests, run these evaluations, and see how the model's performing like there. There are also options to train and run different tier models. So in the code themselves, we can run a $1,000 tier or $300 tier, and these take a little bit more time to train and they cost a little bit more money. But today we're just going to focus on the $100 ChatGPT clone. And the script that we're going to be doing that is going to be the speedrun.sh script, which we'll get into a little bit later. If you'd also like to customize your very own model, Andrej left some information here on how to tune nanochat's personality to make it act in a certain way. Maybe it can be more angry, maybe it can be more nice. And you can also add tool calls like counting R and strawberry, or just other abilities in general to make your nanochat more performant. Now, if you actually want to interrogate the entirety of the code base a little bit more, you can just open this up in Cursor and start asking some questions. Like, I wanted to figure out how the tokenizer worked for nanochat. So I looked up, this is how the tokenizer worked. I asked some questions about it, and I was able to actually break down, okay, this is the tokenizer they use, tick tokenizer. Andrej leaves a lot of good comments on like how the actual like tokenizer works and functions, and you can actually pull up like the entirety of his references and stuff here. And it's like pretty awesome. I think he did a really great job of actually explaining everything really clearly. And at the end of the day, it's going to teach you a ton about how everything in terms of pre-training, training, fine-tuning, and all of that works. Also, there's some opportunities for you to contribute to this. All right, now let's talk about how to actually train the model using NVIDIA hardware. The way that we're going to do that is by using brev.nvidia.com and this specific link to launch and deploy nanochat. So if you're a bit confused on what you're seeing here, don't be that worried. Essentially, this just explains to you how everything is going to be installed and run in order for you to actually interact with nanochat. So as you can see here, this chat 800 port, 8000 port is how you're going to actually get to the interface of talking to NanoChat. This is the compute that you're going to be using for your device. So since we're using the speed run, and since I only have about $100 worth of credits, I'm going to use what the originally configured amount is, this 500 gigabytes here. And I'm going to be using these 8 GPUs, the NVIDIA H100s, in order to train my model. And as you can see here, this is basically the entirety of the repo over here. It explains to you everything that's going on. Once again, I'm just going to press deploy launchable over here. Make sure that you have enough credits to actually spend and train this model. And then in 4 hours, everything should work. So now that it's actually deploying, we're using these 8 H100s. You're going to see on the instance page what the actual status of the device is. Also, if you want to communicate through the CLI, you can open your Windows subsystem for Linux, go to Brev login. So you're going to have to wait until your instance is ready, and that's going to take a little bit of time for you to actually train and get your model running. One thing I will say is that, oh wow, look, the build already finished. Let's see if we can actually get into the notebook. Okay, great. Now after waiting for a little bit, I now have access to the Jupyter file where we can actually interact with NanoChat. This is pretty much the entirety of the README again. We can look at our speedrun.sh script, and we can actually go into a console and more clearly like interact with the model itself. So I'm gonna go here. You can open up a console, send some commands, ping it, say, hey, is this working? If you're a little bit confused on how to see how your model's performing or what GPUs are running, you can run commands like NVIDIA SMI to see how your 8 GPUs that you're essentially wrenching out are working and running. There's also commands like a watch, and you can have it update every 2 seconds to see like where it's at, right? So these are the drivers that it's on. This is the CUDA version. These are the actual 8 GPUs that I'm using to train my model. All of these commands might be a little bit confusing if you've never used like the terminal before. But something that I like doing is kind of going into cursor and saying, hey, like, how is everything working? I've been using this command to see how things are looking. And you can be like, okay, hey, here's my device. Oh, wait, is it disabled? No, it's not. It's at 100%. And you can actually say like, okay, everything's running clean and smooth. You can also go over here to see how far each of the devices is. It looks like it's already been, let's say, 5% of the way. You can see like the tokens over here. Yeah, total time. And yeah, essentially you just got to wait 4 hours now. Make sure to stop the model as soon as you're done training. I think this script should say like done or something like that, and then you should be good. And then you should also be able to access this chat window over here so you can actually start chatting with your version of NanoChat. Okay, so I'm gonna be back in a little bit, and then we're gonna see how it goes. All right, so it's been about 4 hours, and it looks like the model is just about done training. We're going to see right here that it says 99.78%. And as soon as it's done training, that's when we can actually start chatting with it. So we'll have access to a link. That's this one over here as soon as it's done. And I believe from there, we can start interfacing and chatting with NanoChat. Now, since I didn't actually have a chance to update and mess around with the Python files after it trained, I'm a little bit curious on how I can like enhance the model. I'm thinking that I can still do some like fine tuning or maybe some sort of updates to it through the Python, but I'm probably gonna have to use cursor a little bit in order to figure out how to get that going. I will say in terms of like the budget, I did have to add a little bit of extra money just because I was worried that it would stop training. Right now we're at $82.53. I just put another 25 bucks in there to make sure that it didn't go over. And it looks like, let's see, we're at 100%. All right, so let's actually test this now. All right, it looks like everything is off. It's like done training. You can tell because the running processes that there's none found and like the power is low. Also, this is now done over here. I'm just going to go back over to this and I'm going to check if the phases are completed. And I'm going to run these scripts in order to do so. So it looks like these exist, yeah, but I'm not sure if those actually show. Just because they're there, that means it's done. So from cursor, it looks like I can stop billing only when all phases are complete. And from what I'm looking at right now, it still looks like it's still doing some sort of supervised fine tuning. It's saying hella swag, zero shot, Jeopardy, Arc Challenge, Copa. Maybe these are like other conversations or some sort of like friendly interaction conversations or something like that. That's probably what it's doing right now, that supervised fine tuning. It says it's probably going to be another 70 minutes. So it looks like our model finished running. We can actually go here and do some comparisons on how the base model is performing in comparison to GPT-4 and GPT-2. These are all of the tokens that it actually calculated and the iterations it went through. Let's see. These are samples and some math here. I'm really excited to actually chat with this. Now I want to actually open up a port so I can start chatting with it. All right, so now I'm in the virtual environment. Now I can actually run the web server. Whoa, okay, I'm here. Hello. I'm nanochat, a large language model. Oh, whoa, this is crazy. This is my very own LLM that I can communicate with and ask absolutely devious questions to. Say, who created you? 2025. It's all open source. Okay. Name me the capital of New Jersey. Okay, that was incorrect. That is so interesting. ChatGPT 2. Let's see. I am lost. Navigate me to a hotel in Arizona. Wow. All right, this is so awesome. I mean, hey, there's a lot of things that I need to actually poke around with and figure out, but it looks like I was actually able to train my very own model. Like now I can go into here actually and say, okay, it performed in this way, right? I got this report. How can I push the boundaries of it? And how can I give it maybe a different type of token or change the tokenizer or do something else with it in order to give me a different response? I mean, I couldn't have never dreamed of doing something like this probably like 2 or 3 years ago. It would have been like, yeah, good luck actually training this. But let's see, maybe we can do a few example conversations here and see how it works. Yeah, there's definitely a lot of pushing and pulling that I need to do with this. But overall, hey, it worked. This is mine. I rented the hardware to do this, but still, overall, it is my own device. And hey, I can prompt and say whatever I want to it. And ChatGPT and all of these big companies basically don't have a say on what I do with it. If you want me to send you these files or show you my report and how I did it, just let me know in the comments down below. It looks like it was pretty straightforward, but understanding how to check the progress and see how the model is working might be something that you would like want to at least refresh yourself on before you're done. Other than that, thank you so much, NVIDIA, for providing me the credits to train my own nanochat model. The story of how I got these extra credits and why I'm making this video is because I was originally gifted 150 credits, but I overtrained my model and it eventually got deleted. So I sent an email to the Brev team and they graciously gave me another $100 to train the model. So the fact that I was able to actually go through, train my own model, and make this video to hopefully educate you on how to train your very own model is awesome. Thank you again so much to the NVIDIA team. I hope that anybody who watched this video learned something, and I'll see you later. Peace.